Welcome to Study by Yourself once again. This is Sir Prince, and in this video, I'm going to treat valency. Valency. Now, valency is the combining power of an element. Now, when we say combining power of an element, what does it mean? What does combining power of an element mean? Now, for one element to be able to join to another, there needs to be something, and the word is bond. They need to be able to bond based on the number of electrons, excess electrons to give out, and the number of number of electrons to be accepted. If let's look at this analogy. If I can accept two electrons and you have excess of 2 electrons, we can bond, so we can form a compound. Basically, that's what valency is about, and that's what this video is about, looking at elements which have excess electrons and they can give out. Now, what do I mean by excess electrons, and what do I mean by when an element has, or when an element can take a number of electrons? Now, let's look at this. Now, take this. When an element has 1, 2, or 3 electrons on the outermost shell, it loses to form a cation, and the cation is positively charged. And another statement again: when an element has 5, 6, or 7 electrons on the outermost shell, it gains to add up to 8. So it will form what you call an anion. So anions are negatively charged. Now, in mathematics, when we say plus means you are adding. But over here, when we say plus, it means you are losing a number of electrons. And over here as well, when you gain, it means it's minus. So let's look at how valency will help us in writing of chemical compound. Now, I have some examples here where you've been given electrons and we've been asked to use their valencies. Even if you are not asked to use the valency, you have to use the valency in order to be able to write a compound for them. Now, aluminium here. Let's find out if aluminium will lose or gain. So aluminium has first 2, 8, and then 3, because the valencies, the protons are 13. So what about chlorine? Chlorine is the 17th element, so 2, 8, and then 7. Now, looking at aluminium has 3. So aluminium is going to lose. So aluminium is going to form a cation. Therefore, aluminium has a valency of 3. Now, one thing you need to know is that there's a relationship between valency and then charge. Once you know the charge, you know the valency. So aluminium is forming a cation. Now let's look at chlorine. Chlorine has 7, so it gains to add up to 8. So if chlorine has 7 on the outermost shell, how many does it need? It definitely needs 1. So it's going to gain 1. So chlorine is forming the anion here. So if it is gaining 1, it's going to have a charge of -1. And aluminium is going to have a charge of +3. Why? Because it's going to lose the 3. Once you know the valency, you know the charge. Once you know the charge, you know the valency. So once the charge is +3, the valency is 3. Chlorine as well. Once the charge is -1, the valency is 1. So valency does not focus on the positive or negative charge. Valency just focuses on the number. So the valency of aluminium is 3. So Al is 3. Cl, the valency is 1. Since we know this, we can write a compound. After writing this, the next thing you do is that you exchange the valencies. So Al will be for 1, Cl will go for 3. So to write the compound form, you are going to have AlCl3. This is the compound formed. So you have aluminium chloride. Aluminium chloride. Let's look at the next one. Hydrogen and chlorine. Hydrogen has 1 electron on the outermost shell. So hydrogen is either +1 or -1. And then chlorine is still 17. So 2, 8, 7. Since hydrogen has 1, it is losing. So it is the one forming the cation here. And chlorine here is the one forming the anion. Hydrogen is going to be 1. The valence is going to be 1. Chlorine, since it has 7, it is going to gain 1. So valency, the charge is going to be -1. The valency is 1. So over here to valency is 1. So we are going to write H1Cl1. So going to exchange, we are going to have HCl. HCl is hydrogen chloride. Hydrogen chloride. Let's look at a few more examples. So continuing, we have hydrogen and oxygen here. Hydrogen has a valency of 1 from what we know. So hydrogen is 1. Now oxygen, the proton number for oxygen is 8. So 2, then 6. 6 is here. 6 means it needs 2 more to be fully filled. So the valency of oxygen is going to be 2. 2. So O here, and you put 2 here. Then you exchange. You're going to have H2 and then O. So this is how water is formed. So let's add a few more. So we have nitrogen and hydrogen here. So nitrogen is the 7th element. If nitrogen is the 7th element, 2, 5. So nitrogen over here is going to form the anion. So it means nitrogen has a charge of -3. Since it is gaining 3, it's going to be -3. Shift it a little. Since nitrogen has 5 electrons on the outermost shell, it's going to have -3 as a charge. So if it has -3 as a charge, it means the valency is 3. Then hydrogen we know to be 1. So we exchange. We're going to have NH3. So anytime you exchange, you know that you place the number as a subscript just beneath the element. Now when it's 1, you realize that I never wrote 1 by any of them. So we have aluminium and oxygen here. Aluminium is the 13th element. Since it's the 13th element, it means you have Al2, 8, then 3. Since it's 3, it's going to lose. Since it's going to lose, it's going to have a charge of +3. Therefore, the valency of aluminium is 3. Then oxygen. Oxygen we know is 8, 2, 6. 2, 6. So oxygen is going to have, what's going to happen is that it's going to gain 2 electrons. So it's going to be 2. So we exchange. We have Al2O3. So we have aluminium oxide. Over here we have calcium here. Calcium is the 20th element. So Ca is 2, 8, 8, that's 18, then 2, 20. So oxygen, we have 2, then 6. So Ca, since it has 2, we say when it's 1, 2, or 3, it's going to lose. So 2p plus 2. So the valence is going to be 2. Then oxygen, 6. 6 on the outermost shell. So it's going to gain 2. And we have something interesting here. What's going to happen is that they are going to cancel out. 2 here, 1, 2 here, 1. So calcium oxide is going to be written this way. Ca and then O. That's how calcium oxide is going to be written. So just a quick recap. We said that when an element has 1, 2, or 3 electrons on the outermost shell, it's going to lose to form a cation, so positive charge. And when an element has 5, 6, or 7 electrons on the outermost shell, it's going to gain to add up to 8. So since it's going to gain to add up to 8, we're going to call it minus. Thank you for watching. I urge you to subscribe if you've not done so, and keep studying by yourself.